Welcome to Museum Moments, the show that looks at events in all the museums here in Museum City, Portsmouth. I'm your host, Rob Lauer. The holiday season is one of the best times of the year to visit the museums of Portsmouth. The Coleman's Winter Wonderland collection is on display at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center and at the Children's Museum of Virginia. And in conjunction with this much-loved annual exhibit, both of these museums have special events and programs taking place throughout December. On our show today, we'll look at some of those events. We'll also meet some of the exhibit team who were responsible for installing not only Winter Wonderland, but most of the other exhibits on display at the city's museums throughout the year. We'll look at exhibits and events taking place at some of Portsmouth's other museums, and we'll drop at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard Museum for another hands-on history segment. All of that is coming up right now on this November 2015 episode of Museum Moments. Welcome to Museum Moments. One of Portsmouth's most popular museums is the Tyler Community College Visual Arts Center, located at 340 High Street at the corner of High and Court Streets. The galleries are open 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day of the week year-round. In fact, the only days the center is closed are on Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. The galleries are open to the public and admission is absolutely free. TCC's 46th Annual Art Faculty Exhibition will be on display at the Visual Arts Center from November 21st, 2015 through January 3rd, 2016. Art faculty members will display recent drawings, paintings, pottery, glass, photographs, computer-generated imagery, and mixed media. In addition to the faculty show events, a sale of student work will take place in an adjoining space and will feature a diversity of media taught in the classes at the center. The opening reception will take place on Friday, November 20th at 6 p.m. For more information, call 757-822-1888. If you're a history buff, the Hill House Museum in Old Town Portsmouth is a must-see. Imagine a family went for an afternoon stroll and never returned. That's what it feels like in the Hill House. The museum is furnished entirely with family belongings from the 19th and 20th centuries, collected through the generation and left in their original places. The museum, located at 221 North Street, is open April through December on Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. for visits and for guided tours. On Saturday afternoon, December 12th, you're invited to attend the Hill House's annual holiday tea. The tea begins at 2 p.m. and is $25 per person. Included are 3 types of sandwiches, scones, savory treats, and a full tour of the museum, which will be decorated for the holiday season. For more information or to reserve a seat, please call 757-714-3223 or send an email to frog609@cox.net. The archival collection at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard Museum is the stuff of a history buff's dream. The museum is closed until next summer for renovations, but we dropped in recently with our camera to take a look at some of the items from the archival treasures. I'm back at the Portsmouth Naval Museum with Emily Kilgore, who is the assistant curator. Thanks for having us back for another segment of Hands-on History. And what we're doing in this segment is showing you, the public, some of the things that are in the archives here at the Naval Shipyard Museum, things that necessarily aren't on the floor, but it's a treasure trove of historical artifacts, and Emily knows all about them because she is a history nut, as am I.
Yes.
And she's going to show us some more things today, but first I wanted to comment a little bit about the museum itself.
Yep.
It's a little dark in here.
It is a little dark in here. The museum is currently closed for renovations. We're going to be getting new light systems, we're changing out some of the exhibits, and we're getting updated, renovated bathrooms, which is very exciting. So we've taken everything off the walls, the ceilings look a little bare, and all the artifacts are currently in their proper places hiding right now, so we're,
But this has not stopped people from coming and knocking on the front door.
This has not stopped. No, we have history-starved people. They wish that we were open. Luckily, the lightship is still open until probably December, and we will, keep answering phone calls and keep apologizing.
And you'll be opening sometime in
mid-2016. That's what we're hoping. Yep.
Okay, great. Well, back to the artifacts.
Yep.
You've been in the artifacts, you pulled some things out, so what do you have here?
I like to tell the story of the Great White Fleet, which was something very important to the Hampton Roads area. Theodore Roosevelt wanted to do something in the early 1900s to kind of describe how the Navy was changing, how it was updating, and kind of showing America as a superpower. So he gathered some ships together and wanted to send them around the world. So I've got some photographs here because the Great White Fleet actually started here in Hampton Roads, was its first port. It left in 1907, right at the end of the Jamestown World Exposition that happened right down the street at what is now the Norfolk Navy Base. So I have some pictures here that we have in our collection, everything from the ships leaving the area. This is a particular photograph that was out of a newspaper that was in the area. It, just kind of shows, you can see we've got that main flagship there in the front, all the other ones hanging around in the back, and they were traveling to a couple different places. They went to East Asia, they went to Europe, they also went to South America. So most of our photographs that we have are of them leaving the Hampton Roads area.
Wow.
So yeah.
And this one here, they put out a ton of
pollution. Yes, there was a lot of.
I thought it was a stormy sky, but it's actually just the smoke.
It is the smoke. This photograph would have been taken at where the current location of the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel is now. So that's something that we like to take into consideration once they're departing into the great seas. Yes, and they had a lot of smoke because they wanted to let people know they were coming.
And so they couldn't be missed.
You can't miss them whatsoever. This photograph right here, we do not have a whole lot of information on it specifically. We don't have the matching list that goes with it, but we do know that the person who took the photograph, a lot of times photographers would put numbers on ships and then would have a sheet that would usually be on the back of the photograph explaining what they were and the different parts. Oftentimes he would also list the commanding officers or something of that nature. So like I said, we have, it's the original photograph. It has been clearly touched up because it has a bit of a metallic sheen to it. And then the author went in and tried to write as much as he could about each artifact. Unfortunately, we do not have, like I said, that the coinciding piece that goes with it, but we have the photograph, and that's pretty cool.
You mentioned a few minutes ago the Jamestown Exposition in 1907.
Yep.
For those who don't know anything about that, what was that? My grandmother in Baltimore sailed down to attend it.
Right.
Yeah.
It was in 1907, so we had the 300-year anniversary of the landing at Jamestown, or the founding of Jamestown, and they kind of wanted to do like a Columbian World's Exposition kind of thing here in Hampton Roads. Now, what's interesting about it is that there was a lot of fights, a lot of money issues. It didn't really go as well as they wanted to, but each state, or they tried to get each state to come in and build a house that people could come in and visit and learn about the states. The interesting thing that I like to point out, and we've learned over the years with the Navy, is that the houses that a lot of people refer to as Admiral's Row there on the base are actually the original state houses that were built, and they moved them to be there along the waterfront. Okay. So it was kind of a way to try to get people into the area. I'm not entirely sure why they chose to do it in Norfolk as opposed to Jamestown. Where the founding was. But it definitely brought in a lot of people, and it got a lot of people really interested in our world's history. So it was their way of trying to bring back the history, and Teddy Roosevelt said this is a perfect way to also incorporate, and he laid all the ships out there for the Great White Fleet and had people were allowed to get on them, walk around them, take pictures. The sailors loved it because they got to learn about people from different states, and it was just a good time all around, and it lasted for 6 months before they decided to close it.
Great. Okay. Well, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Now I understand you have a final piece that
I do. I have a piece that is a souvenir from the sailors could go to the different countries and purchase souvenirs at the ports that they were in. And the souvenir that I have is actually from Japan, and it is a hand embroidered piece, and I'll go over and point a few things about it in just a second. And it has a lot of really cool stuff on it because it's all hand embroidered. It could be having information on it for the different, it was a picture of the fleet as well as Theodore Roosevelt and two admirals, Admiral Evans and Admiral Perry were on it. And my favorite part is that when the sailor purchased it, they could incorporate their picture into the actual the piece and take it home and hang it on their wall.
With the president.
Yeah, they could do it with the president, or in the case of ours, we have a man by the name of W.R. Akers, who we think was a gunman on the USS Virginia, so the local ship in the Great White Fleet from Virginia, and he's in a car with somebody else who we don't know who that is, but it's a very interesting piece.
Okay.
So we'll definitely take a look at it.
All right, let's go look at it.
Yeah, let's go look at it. So we're going to do some wandering. And I love this photo because, like I said, it's all hand embroidered. It was done by, there was a collection on the ports of Japan in Tokyo where they had the women could come in and do this, and they would make them and they would sell them like you would if you were on, you know, a victory tour or something like that, and you could go purchase this stuff once you got into port. And you can see we've got the in memory of our famous cruise around the world. They did put the 13 stars to represent the original 13 colonies, and this is the scariest looking eagle that I've ever seen in my life. But he's really, you know, proud looking and everything like that. And then in the center we have Roosevelt, and he has Admirals Evans and Admiral Perry, who were the two commanding officers for the Great White Fleet. Further down, there's a very nice painting of the Great White Fleet coming into the harbor. You can see Mount Fuji in the background. And then at the very bottom is Mr. Akers hanging out on a car with an unknown buddy. And they have, like I said, we knew he was a gunman because the gunner's mate is the cross cannons there at the bottom. And we love this Japanese embroidery because it's very rare. We are one of very few museums that have one, especially with having a man in there.
Were these expensive?
They were. They went for about $27 back then.
Wow.
So that equals out to about $175, almost $200 now. So this was something that they could order, and then they would have to ship back home. So, you know, somebody imagine, you know, opening up your door and there's a rolled up beautiful embroidery hanging out, and it's from your husband, brother, or whatever. It's like, hey, look where I am. So it's like
I'm hanging out with Roosevelt
exactly,
too.
the world's largest postcard. So, you know, we had it on exhibit for quite a few years, and now it's sitting in our collection. It needs some preservation work, so we're working on that.
Well, thanks for sharing it with us, Emily.
It's super cool. I love the Great White Fleet. It's something that not a lot of people know about.
Never heard of until today.
Exactly. So it's something that we try to do, and we're going to try to focus a little more on them since they did start here in Hampton Roads. So, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks again for having
you.
us, and we look forward to coming back next time.
It's been fun.
Thanks. When we return to Museum Moments, we'll introduce you to some of the dedicated, talented folks who work behind the scenes, not only to bring Winter Wonderland to life, but also to create many of the exhibits on display at the City of Portsmouth's museums. That's coming up right after these messages.
A whole new world of imagination opens before their eyes. The Children's Museum of Virginia, Old Town Portsmouth.
Hungry?
Yeah.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Welcome back to Museum Moments. If you've ever visited the Winter Wonderland exhibit on display each holiday season at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center, you'd be right to assume that it takes a lot of time, hard work, and imagination to bring the display to life. That work falls upon the talented men and women who make up the exhibits department of the City of Portsmouth Museums. But their work doesn't end there. These folks are responsible for installing the traveling exhibits and shows that come to all of the city museums. And they have a hand in designing and creating many of the permanent exhibits at those museums. When we dropped by their offices at the Children's Museum of Virginia, we found the entire team hard at work. But a few of them decided to take a few minutes to sit down in front of our cameras and share with you what they do.
My name is Tim Michalski. I'm the exhibit supervisor here for the Portsmouth Museums.
My name is Skip Novak. I'm an exhibit technician here at the Children's Museum of Virginia, primarily in charge of the Lancaster Antique Train and Toy Collection.
My name is Jeremy Essen. I'm an exhibit technician here with Portsmouth Museums. I've been here since December of 2012.
My name's Andre Burden. I'm an exhibit tech here, and I've just got here actually. I started here in July of this year, which is 2015.
Right out of college, I got a job at the Children's Museum just as staff, and then that sort of evolved into the exhibit work. Back then, we were just one floor. It was a lot smaller, but when I started working here, it was like, well, you know, this can be fixed. This is easy. And people, you know, there was no one on staff to take care of stuff. So I just sort of walked into it, and then as time evolved, we finally started an exhibits department, and I was fortunate enough to be the first exhibit tech ever hired for the Portsmouth Museum.
I designed the train layout. Every couple of years, the city sends me up to MTH Trains in Columbia, Maryland for their train service repair school, which is a 3-day in-depth course on how to repair and maintain their trains.
Well, my educational background is industrial design, so it's a pretty broad design field. Studied in College of Architecture. So how that has taken shape here in the museums is, I guess, I've been involved with exhibits down at Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center, for example, when they've needed graphic panels to kind of explain a narrative as part of their artifacts. So one of the first projects I was involved in when I first arrived here was with the Civil War exhibit that they had. So I worked real closely with the curator and developed a series of panels with the information that he had, and we kind of developed a visual language that kind of told, his narrative, and then kind of carried that same kind of process through to when we worked on the Appalachia exhibit last year.
I started working at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center, which is another branch of the museum department, which is right down the street from here. I worked there for about a year, and I heard that there was an opening here, so I applied, and luckily I got the position. But I think I was told that they were looking for a little bit more flexibility in the graphics department. So I was told to apply because I have a background in that.
So the exhibits department works for the entire Portsmouth Museums, as I mentioned. However, we're housed in the Children's Museum because that's simply where we have the most room and where we have office space available. So we have an exhibits office where 4/5 of the exhibit team hangs their hat, as it were, have our desks and our phones and computers. In the office, it's where we meet, discuss, plan. 2 of the exhibit techs also handle a lot of the graphics work for the Portsmouth Museum, so that's where they work out of.
I get a lot of the marketing, a lot of flyers and handouts, things that go in a mailing list. I design pretty much invitations and things of that nature.
We have a shop here in our shipping and receiving loading dock area, which it's not a set shop because we're, at the Children's Museum, stuff's coming in, coming out. We have catered events, we have traveling exhibits have to come in. It's the main space where deliveries come in. So unfortunately, we don't have a fixed shop where we can just set stuff up and leave it. So everything's pretty mobile. So everything's on carts that can be wheeled away or swept out of the way when we have to bring anything in. And our shipping and receiving area is where we fabricate, fix stuff. If we have to bring exhibit off the floor and work on it, that's where we'll bring it into. And that's sort of the brains behind the operation. It happens in our shipping and receiving area, I think. Well, here at the Children's Museum, we're very aware of what the public enjoys, what they don't enjoy. Maybe, we're almost 4 years now, going on 5 as far as our expansion. So things that have worn out, some things we're in the process of taking old out and putting new in. So in a way, it has to fit in the area.
In the fire department room here, we have 2 cases. They're filled with a bunch of antique fire toys, fire trucks actually. Junie Lancaster was an avid collector of toys, and he had a lot of fire trucks, Smith Keen, Tonka, things like that. And we felt as a collective whole in the design process of the expansion that we would put some of those on display in the in the fire room.
I've put together some of the temporary exhibits, some of the seasonal ones, Winter Wonderland in particular. There's been a couple other that we've had inside the museum that I've helped put together with the rest of the exhibits team.
This is the changing gallery at the Children's Museum, so every year we have something going on in here. Last year we did a gingerbread village, and this year we're not doing the village, but we're keeping the same theme in the train layout. We've added some more buildings and made that a little more accessible, a little more viewer friendly. We got a acrylic fence this year. We've lowered the layout to make it so all the kids can see it a little better. And we've added some trees, but we're doing the same outdoor beaver scene from the Coleman collection that we usually do down here. So we've added a few things, trying to change it up a little bit. Painted the room, give it a little nice icy feel. So that's what's going on in here this year.
This is our Winter Wonderland train layout with Department 56 villages that were donated years ago. Initially, this was used for a gingerbread competition where companies would build gingerbread houses. And that kind of went by the wayside, and so we filled it with all of these wonderful Dickens Village pieces. We even have Shakespeare's home modeled in there somewhere, right? Yeah, right there. So yeah, it's pretty cool, you know. So, and then we had the trains go up, and they go around, and they make a lot of noise, and people seem to love it.
With Winter Wonderland, it's pretty much, you know, what do we have? What can we do to make it better with what's available commercially?
I mean, there are certainly members of our staff that are always kind of working on it throughout the year. I mean, whether we're seeking out replacement, you know, items, or if we have new ideas of how we want to show something, we'll, you know, look at research and find products that we want to add or replace. That's kind of an ongoing process throughout the year.
I've become an expert tree fluffer, Christmas tree fluffer and decorator working at Winter Wonderland, because I also did it last year when I was working at the Pack down the street, and so this will be my second year working on it. So I do a lot of I guess of some of the set. I work a lot with the figures, the moving figures, and then the Christmas trees, a lot of the decorations and the garland, and some of the outside decorations that you see the building decorated with. So that's been my experience so far. It's just how I like it. Nothing too crazy, but it's constant and it's steady work, so I like it.
It's a lot of work, you know, there's no doubt about that.
As a team, I think we all work well as far as, you know, implementing what needs to happen. Everyone sort of jumps in and does their own thing. It's my responsibility to make sure stuff gets done, but at the same time, I'm not too worried about it because everyone is very well aware of what needs to happen and to get the job done, what they need to do. Considering
all the work that I and everyone else in the department puts into it, it's worth it to have someone come up and say they enjoyed it or say that they liked the display and they liked the way it came out. It's also good to know people feel like they got their money's worth. So, you know.
Honestly, it's a great feeling when I walk in and I stand in the background or even from up front and I hear people talking about, you know, the layout and, you know, the villages, whether they have some of these pieces at home or stories about Coleman's nursery and how it impacts them and just them being able to share it with their kids or their grandkids and listening to their stories and hearing the great compliments that they just whisper amongst themselves and seeing the kids with such wide-eyed wonder and joy, and when you see them walking away, you hear them laughing. It makes me feel really good about everything and what I do here at the museum. You know, I don't want to thank you. I don't need any of that. You know, just seeing their faces and knowing that in some weird way I've impacted myself on their life, and they'll never even know it.
Next on Museum Moments, we'll give you a preview of Winter Wonderland and other holiday events taking place at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center and the Children's Museum of Virginia. Stay tuned.
You must be your fairy godmother?
It doesn't take a fairy godmother to tell you that the right fit means everything. Especially when it comes to car seats. Always choose one that's the right fit for your child's age and size.
Oh, that does make a difference.
Remember, their happily ever afters are in your hands. To find out more, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
Welcome back to this November-December 2015 episode of Museum Moments. If you haven't yet visited the City of Portsmouth museums, the holiday season is the perfect time for your first visit. Not only is Coleman's Winter Wonderland on display at two of the city's museums, but discounted passes to both of those museums are available. And at this time of year, the museum has special events and activities going on every day from the day after Thanksgiving through New Year's Eve. I'm joined by Stephen Grunett, who is from the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center. Thanks for joining us, Stephen.
Well, thank you very much, Rob. And you know, I don't know what you brought me here to talk about today, but it is that time of year again. So, without further ado,
Why, Stephen, you're a holiday elf.
Happy holidays, Rob.
Happy holidays. So
Hey.
that must mean that you're here to tell us what's going on at the Art and Cultural Center this holiday season.
I sure am, and the Children's Museum.
Okay.
Both of them are going to keep the same hours this holiday season, and it will all open as usual the day after Thanksgiving is our opening weekend.
That's the grand opening of Winter Wonderland.
Winter Wonderland at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center, and also the Children's Museum, which will also have holiday crafts and activities going on, and they will both be open till 8 o'clock on Fridays and Saturdays. So the hours will be Tuesday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays will be open from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay.
Both the Children's Museum and Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center. And on Sundays we're open from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
So lots of time to see it.
Lots of time to see it. It will be up through the 31st of December, which is a day you're not going to want to miss.
The week before Christmas when school's out, then you're also open on Monday?
Then we'll also be open on Mondays, yes.
So like the last
during
week or
Christmas
so of
break,
December,
we'll
it's
be
7 days a
open.
week.
Yeah, and we'll be having more going on those weeks too. I would recommend coming in on the weekends. Before then, Santa always likes to drop by on the weekends, so those Fridays, Saturdays are going to be the best times to come. And it's an incredible value.
Yeah.
It's only $3 to get into the Winter Wonderland.
Wow.
And there's a combo pass with the Children's Museum that's $12 a person.
Oh.
So you get Winter Wonderland and all those, if you come on the weekends, Friday evenings, you can see Santa, you can participate in all those fun crafts and special events, and go to the Children's Museum.
Now, question about that. If you buy the pass for both museums, say you can buy it on a Thursday, you come to the Winter Wonderland, but you don't go to the Children's Museum that day, can you come back and use that second part of the pass later
Yes.
in the holiday season?
Yes, that is possible.
Okay, great.
And also at the Children's Museum, they'll be having Snow Wonders.
Okay, now Snow Wonders, is that actually involves snow or something like snow falling?
Yes, we have magic snow that appears.
Okay, like outside and snow falling?
Outside, in the Middle Street Mall area. And the times are usually those Fridays and Saturday evenings, 5:30, 6:30, 7:30.
So the sun goes down, it gets dark, and then it snows.
Exactly. And you can check all the details about what kind of events will be going on if you call the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center. That number is 393-8543, area code 757, or you can go on the website www.portsmouthartcenter.com.
Also during the Old Town Music Festival, that's a great time to stop in and see all of that.
That's our busiest day of the year. Yes, there'll be more going on around Old Town in general, and we'll also have musical events at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center.
Great. Now, I understand that on New Year's Eve at the Art and Cultural Center, you have a very special event every year.
We do. Every year, to mark the closing of the Winter Wonderland exhibit, we have the Noon Year's Eve event.
Okay,
so,
Noon Year's Eve. Now, what is that?
Well, this is for kids and parents who don't want to stay up or can't stay up as late to celebrate the New Year's Eve and the countdown at midnight. So we have a countdown at noon and lots of crafts and activities then as well. We've got a ball drop and music, and we've got a fireworks stomp where we unroll giant bubble wrap, and the kids get to run around on that, and they love it. It's always one of the...
Make lots of noise and
Make
celebrate.
lots of noise, yeah.
That's at noon on New Year's Eve.
That starts
a little before.
It starts a little bit before then, probably at 11 o'clock,
Okay.
and then it goes from 11 to 2 o'clock.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
So the only days we're closed, other than those Mondays before winter break, are New Year's Day and Christmas Day.
This is, I guess, the biggest attended event of the year, isn't it? I mean,
yes, and it's always, people always look forward to it, and you can create new memories for the holidays. You can rekindle old memories from the Coleman Nursery Collection.
Yeah.
It's really, the spirit is so fantastic. There's nothing that can take away that holiday spirit from people, and this is a great way of celebrating it. So
great.
Thank you so much for bringing me on the show today, Rob.
Thanks for coming in and making your little transformation and becoming Stephen the
It's amazing
holiday elf.
It's amazing what you can do with the flip of a pom-pom.
Well, it's amazing what you can do with one, Stephen.
Come to Winter Wonderland and you might see me in one of these outfits.
Okay, so be sure to check out Winter Wonderland at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center. Thanks for coming here, Stephen.
Thank you, Rob.
Thanks. That's it for this holiday episode of Museum Moments. For more information on any of the events featured on today's show, simply log on to www.portsvaevents.com. You'll find all the events of the various museums listed there by date, and you'll find links to the museum websites. I'm Rob Lauer. From me and from everyone at PCTV, we wish you and your loved ones a joyous holiday season and a most happy new year.